Okay, thank you to Dave and to Michael for setting the stage for the work that we're going to do together this morning. I just have a little bit of input to go a little bit further into clarifying roles and functions, and then we're going to do the work of the church in our table groups, and I'll explain that when we get there. But I think Dave and Michael have set the stage for us to have the theoretical, the theological background for us to do this work this morning. So we started already having some moments thinking about the executive board and the CLC working together. Every relationship can be improved upon, particularly relationships in the church. And as we're saying over and over again, we are the leadership bodies of Mennonite Church USA. We all want Mennonite Church USA to thrive. The CLC and the executive board were set up for different roles and different functions. And we have a responsibility to make sure that we are contributing to the overall positive functioning of the denomination. We are leaders here today, and the leaders of this denomination take their roles seriously in doing the work. So I feel like we need to drill down a little bit more granular to specific roles and functions that are outlined in our bylaws to make sure we all understand what is on paper that says what the different leadership bodies do. So we'll start with the executive board. The executive board does give overall leadership to the denomination and acts on behalf of the denomination when the delegate assembly is not in session. So the executive board does have a responsibility for making decisions of the church when the executive board is not, when the delegate assembly is not around. Did you know that the executive board has full legal responsibility for the denomination? So many times there are decisions that have legal implications that we need to make. And then we need to provide spiritual oversight, again, articulating vision and mission. And going back to what Dave said of the importance of the vision and mission of the denomination. So the executive board does review the activities of church-wide programs and agencies. Did you know that we take a look and do a fairly thorough review of our church-wide agencies? Every biennium, every agency, church-wide agency gets sort of a deep dive, what we call a deep dive review, and taking a look at what are the priorities, what are the budgets, kind of budgets and fundraising, major program things that are going on in our agencies, so we have a better understanding of what each of our agencies are doing. And then always we have an opportunity at the executive board level to promote communication channels among the denomination. And as you know, we have a whole communication team among the executive board staff who work at this function. The executive board has a role for ensuring anti-racist principles are practiced throughout all our programs that we have and through all our structures. And certainly the executive board needs to give leadership to coordinate the generation and allocation of resources. How we spend our resources are extremely important because particularly as resources are diminishing throughout the denomination, we need to figure out the best way to spend our time, our energy, and our money. And then as we talked about yesterday, the executive board does receive counsel from this body. So that is another thing that the executive board likes to make sure that we have some feedback from various folks. The board does report to the delegate assembly. The board does provide leadership in carrying out these policies and programs per the delegate assembly. And the board does appoint members to church-wide programs, agencies, and committees. There are a lot of appointments that need to be fulfilled every biennium, and the board does have a role in doing that. Now, I'm wondering if you are aware that the executive board actually has to approve the appointment or the reappointment or the dismissal of the CEOs of our agencies. That was something new to me when I came onto the executive board. I had no clue that that was a function of the executive board. The board of the agency actually does the search and makes the recommendation to the executive board, but the executive board does need to make that approval. The board has to meet at least 3 times per year. In the last couple of years, we have used a Zoom call on occasion to assume one of our 3 times per year of meeting. I think we have not found that to be as helpful as meeting in person. I'm giving you my opinion, but I think Glenn would agree. And we are working to going back to meeting in person 3 times per year. And of course, one of our most important functions is appointing the executive director to lead Mennonite Church USA, which we spent a great deal of time doing in the last year. Glenn's our new executive. The board does have an executive committee that meets at least 3 times per year and sometimes a lot more frequently. And that executive committee is made up of the moderator-elect, a secretary, and other such members. And they do have authority over the whole executive board. And they formulate and recommend to the executive board or the delegate assembly kind of general principles and practices. But, so we know what the executive board is supposed to do. What is the executive board should not do? Executive board members are not expected to represent specific constituencies, but rather act in the best interest of Mennonite Church USA as a whole. This is really important. And when new board members come on, we try to do as much education as possible to make sure that when you come on the executive board, you have to think of the whole of the denomination. So, just a little bit about the CLC. I think you all know your role and function, but let's just be super clear on that. You are the representational voice. This group is a much broader representation of Mennonite Church USA because you represent everything, every conference from across the denomination. You are the official forum for conference to conference and entity to entity discernment, conversation, and as we have already said in this forum, you serve as denominational elders. You give counsel, you nurture and strengthen relationships, and this group also worships and prays together. Another role of the CLC is to encourage faithfulness, share ideas, and again, process these concerns that we have and provide discernment to each other and to the denomination as a whole. Now, when this group works on decisions, we try to get to decisions as verbal affirmation. But if we are unable to do that, we do take a ballot, and a simple majority is what the process is for a decision making. Now, did you know that the CLC can produce statements and resolutions on its own behalf? I think this is important. I think we tend to forget this. I tend to forget this. But the CLC can produce statements and resolutions to the executive board. But then again, it's also important to say what the CLC does not do. The CLC does not serve in any formal accreditation, supervisory, or judicial role. It does not manage any other structures within the denomination, and it makes no decisions for any other groups other than this group assembled here.